Talk, shop, pop, movies.
Ahoy there, this is Derek, the Convicted Cinephile, and if you're a convicted cinephile yourself, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel down below. On my channel, I like to talk, shop, and pop open, that is, movies and physical media. Today I am doing my entire Scream Factory collection. Even got my little Scream Factory 10th anniversary shirt thing they gave away when you spent whatever last October, because, you know, theming. Anywho, I'm going to try to do this a little differently than my last Steelbook one, where I'm going to attempt to keep all of these, since they are together on the shelf, in alphabetical order. So I'm going to start with the Chonky Boys, as I call them. They're the box sets / things that are in hard boxes. Here goes, in alphabetical order, the Chonky Boys. First, I have the Creep Show hard box. I never got the 4K because this is just amazing. I love this set. I like that the 4K is different than this, so if I did get it, this would still be worth keeping. But I love this one. You get the book in there, and then you also get very different artwork compared to the cover, and even the reversible artwork is substantially different than either of the other two, which I like. So you technically get 3 different art styles with this release. Next, I have Critters, the Critters collection. I rented these movies all the time as a chitlin. I still need to introduce these to my son. But you get Critters 1, 2, 3, and 4 in there. So we got 4, 3, the first movie with DiCaprio, which is always funny. 2, which is arguably the best one. And 1, which is a classic. But yeah, the first 2 Critters movies are pretty damn solid. 3 and 4, not so great, but they're fun to watch. Next, we have the amazing Fly collection. Yes, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous artwork. A lot of people didn't like this artwork. I don't know why. I love it. It's a little busy, maybe, is why. And the coloring is a little inconsistent, but I have no beef with it. And inside this set, we have The Fly 2, which is not bad, but it's not great. The best one by far. Cronenberg's remake of The Fly. The Curse of the Fly, which is not great. Return of the Fly, which is okay from what I recall. And the original Fly, this is a fun one. It's actually like a murder mystery kind of movie, more so than I expected. So if you haven't checked out the original Fly, do that. If you really, really like the original Fly, watch the other 2. Otherwise, I'd say just stick to the original and the Jeff Goldblum, Gina Davis Cronenberg remake. Next, we have everyone's favorite box set, probably, that they've ever done. The amazing Friday the 13th 12 film collection. I've got the posters out there as well, hanging up. Everyone says they want them to do a, Nightmare Before Christmas set. Nightmare Before Christmas set. I'm tired. Nightmare on Elm Street set. There we go. I'd be fine if they just did one exactly like this with new scans and everything, even if it was just Blu-ray and not 4K. Preferably be, if they were all on 4K, that would be amazing. But I would rather have a solid Blu-ray set like this than just a pretty good 4K of the original and then nothing worthwhile for the rest of them, because that's my favorite slasher franchise is the Nightmare films, but I love these as well. So let's get these out of here. Let's see. Each. Oh God, get out of there. Wow, I did that with one hand. That was impressive. My hands aren't even big. We have the original Friday the 13th. I think I swapped all these artworks around because I love these old school posters. Friday the 13th, Part 2. Friday the 13th, Part 3 in 3D. This might be my favorite poster, just because of the 3D axe killing situation. Always cool. Friday the 13th, Part 4, the final chapter. Arguably the best film in the franchise, like from an objective standpoint. Friday the 13th, 5, A New Beginning, which is, oddly enough, my favorite of the series, even though it's a lot of people's least favorite. It's so trashy and fun. Friday the 13th part. Wait, this get out of order? What the heck's going on here? There it is. Jason Lives, Part 6. I watched this one most recently. That's why I probably put it on order on accident. I actually watched this with my wife and my son last year because it's the least gory and has the least nudity out of all of them, and it's kind of funny, so I thought this would be a good one to introduce him to Jason. And he loves the whole zombie Jason aspect of it. So if you want to introduce Jason to your kid, Part 6, I'd say, is the way to go about it. Part 7, The New Blood, Jason versus Carrie, as we all know. I've always liked Part 7. When I grew up with Parts 5, 7, and 8 on tape, so that's all I watched, so those are the ones I loved. Speaking of Part 8, here it is. Jason Takes Manhattan. Jason Takes a Boat Ride. Jason Takes Toronto, whatever the hell you want to call it. I don't remember. Jason Takes Canada. I like it either way. Jason Goes to Hell, the one that does not fit with the rest of the movies very much, but that's why I like it. It's very different than the rest. And then we have, of course, Jason X. The first, and I think only Jason film, besides Freddy vs. Jason, that I saw in theaters. Because this came out when I worked at the movie theater. I was very excited about it. I remember Kane Hodder, just before, like 2 months before I worked there, was at my theater signing autographs, and I missed it. So I was like, son of a bitch. I wish I would have known that happened. Because I went there like earlier that day, and they had all the Friday the 13th posters lining the sides of the lobby. It was cool. Freddy versus Jason, the one everyone was waiting for, essentially since, at least for Jason Goes to Hell, but essentially since New Line bought Jason. And then the remake, Friday the 13th, which is pretty damn good. It's essentially a hodgepodge of the first 4 movies. And then the little bonus case here. And the book. There it is. So that is the Friday the 13th collection. Like, you don't know. You have it, probably. Who doesn't have this at this point? I remember when they announced it, it was going to be 7,000 copies, and it sold out in like 25 seconds. It crashed the Scream Factory website. And then they're like, oh, it sold out really fast, so we're going to make twice as many. It's like, thanks for ruining its valuableness. It's too good of a set. You got to share the wealth, right? All right, here's the remainder of what I would say are the Chonky Boys. Next, we have the limited edition 15-disc Halloween collection. This was the very first Scream Factory item I ever purchased, not knowing what the hell Scream Factory was. I just bought it the day it came out at Best Buy while my wife was on vacation without me, with her sister and her dad, I think. And I was like, well, screw it, I'm going to buy this because I got nothing better to do. And I watched them. But let's see what's in here. Ooh, yeah. A little bit easier to get them all out with one hand than the Friday the 13th. So we have the original. Dropping shit. Halloween there. I mean, you can guess what's in here. It's the Halloween movies. But Halloween 2. The only thing that sucks about these, I like that they have the black case. That's kind of cool. But they don't have reversible cover art. But essentially all of the cases are just the posters. So that's sort of what you would get anyways. Halloween 3. My favorite Halloween film. Yeah, I'm one of those. Halloween 4. This is actually the first time I ever watched Halloween 4 and 5 or in this set. Halloween 5. Halloween The Curse of Michael Myers with the producer's cut, my preferred cut. I think this was actually the first Halloween movie I ever saw because it came out like a year or two before I got really obsessed with the first one. And my parents rented it and they were like, this is stupid, but I watched it with them anyways. H2O, everyone's favorite, Halloween Resurrection. Rob Zombie's Halloween. Cool poster. Can't take that away from it. And Halloween 2 by Rob Zombie. And then the booklet right there. So that is the 15-disc set. Which, even though, like, we all know they've all come out on 4K, essentially at this point, it still holds a decent value for that set because it's just a cool piece to have. And speaking of the 4Ks, I do have Halloween 1. There we go. Halloween 2. I haven't opened this one yet, actually. I rewatched a bunch of these right before I ended up buying these, so I've only opened a few of them. Halloween 2. We've got Halloween 3. I still haven't had a chance to get around to this one again. I'm sure I will this year. Halloween 4. I did watch this one. Halloween 4. And Halloween 5. I watched this one as well. There we go. I do not have the box set of 6, 7, and 8 yet. I will probably get it this Shocktober sale, assuming it's the same price it was last time they had it on sale, because it's not worth, like, what were they selling it for, 120 bucks or something like that. Next, we have the Omen collection. This box is cool. You can get these Blu-ray sets pretty cheap if you're looking in the right places now. I watched all of this and all of the Friday the 13th set when I had my last pacemaker surgery in 2020. It was like the week the Friday the 13th set came out, so it was really good timing. So yeah, I didn't work for like 3 weeks while recovering from that, so I just binge watched pretty much all these box sets. It was great. The classic Omen, the original, right there. Very good. The underrated Omen 2, Damien Omen 2, where he's a teenager in like a boarding school. This is a very underrated sequel. Omen 3 with Sam Neill. What's this one called? The Final Conflict. This one's not bad either. I actually like the Omen trilogy, as I still refer to it. You can buy a DVD set that's called the Omen trilogy with just these three. It's an underrated trilogy. I always say that when people ask me things about trilogies. I'll always refer to this as a very underrated one. And then we have the god-awful Omen 4, which is like a TV movie, The Awakening. Has nothing to do, really, with the other three. It doesn't have Damien in it or whatever, so that's why you can poo-poo this and just refer to the other one as a trilogy. And the same as the first one, but, you know, more dark and brooding cinematography-wise, Omen remake. It's an Omen remake. That's what it is. I didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh, it's like I'm watching the first one again, but it's not as good. That's the Omen. And then I have this set, which I haven't even opened yet. The It's Alive trilogy. Which I just bought this because it was really cheap one day. And I was like, yeah, what the hell? I need that. All three movies. You got It's Alive, It Lives Again, and Island of the Alive. And the first one is rated PG, and that always makes me laugh. So I need to see that. So that is the rest of what I say are the Chonky Boys. One last Chonky Boy before I forget, because I almost did. I do have this Big Trouble in Little China set that they did. I actually bought it just because I was like, what the hell? Why not? And I owed a buddy some money, so I actually gave him the steelbook out of this because I was trying to collect all of the standard editions at the time. Do I regret it? Yeah, a little bit, but not much. You know, he's one of my besties, so I have just the standard Big Trouble in Little China inside here with the slipcover artwork spun around. That's the fun part, is looking at all the artwork spun around, at least on the ones that I've opened. And then you got the little record in there, which they did this with a bunch of his films. This is the only one I got because I didn't own Big Trouble in Little China yet, and I just thought it was cool. So, Big Trouble in Little China, chonky black box thing. Okay, so we are into the standard edition Blu-rays and 4Ks. Don't have a ton of 4Ks, and I'm not including the steelbooks in this because I already showed all those in my steelbook collection, so if you want to see those, check out my steelbook collection video. Shameless plugs. But here we go. Starting in alphabetical order, we have the Alligator 4K. The beautiful 4K. Pretty good movie. I actually liked it. We have the God, my beard is very itchy. Holy moly, you know. Okay. Army of Darkness Blu-ray. A lot of these don't have slips. I'm not a slip Nazi. If I bought it 3 years after it came out, I was like, whatever, you know. I'm not going to pay an extra $30 for a slipcover. So a lot of these don't have slips, and some of them aren't even open. John Carpenter's Assault on Precinct 13. Very underrated movie. This is a solid movie right here. Not a horror movie in any way. It's just like an action siege movie, but it's very good. Bad Moon. I found this thrifting. Haven't had a chance to watch it, but when you find a Scream Factory at like a Goodwill, you just buy it, because why the hell not? Behind the Mask. I still have not had a chance to watch this one, but I have always looked forward to it. I've just been lazy, yeah, so I don't have the artwork flipped around on that one. Ben, I found this the same day as the Bad Moon one at the same thrift store, so I picked that one up. This is the sequel to Willard, which I don't have, sadly. An all-time classic. We got Black Christmas. As you can see, they're pretty much all the Blu-rays. I tried not to go out and rebuy every single 4K I already had, so I really only have a handful. I dedicated so much time getting these Blu-rays. So I have The Blob, yet another one I probably won't get the 4K for, unless I can get a crazy good deal on it. John Carpenter's Body Bags. This is an awesome anthology movie. If you have not seen Body Bags, grab this one, and it's always pretty cheap, too. Even on the Scream Factory website, it's always one of the cheaper Blu-rays. But it's a very underrated movie. I have everyone's favorite movie, Bubba Hotep. I have the original, or the original as in original artwork made for the release on here, because this is one I did get the 4K for. And not even out of spite. I just love the movie. So there's the 4K of Bubba Hotep. I love it. Sorry, not sorry. Candyman, Farewell to the Flesh. I've seen this movie. I hadn't had a chance to rewatch it, but I actually like Candyman too. This is the first Candyman movie I ever saw. As you can see, I do not have the first Candyman. I already would have had that out. I did have it, but I sold it because I got that Arrow 4K instead because it's cooler looking. But I kept the posters. They're still hanging out there. I have the Blu-ray of The Burning. I like The Burning. It's a solid slasher. I like it more than Friday the 13th. It's more fun. What do you get? It just is. It has better characters. The killer is cooler. And yeah, the effects are better. What more do you want? Carrie. So there is the Brian De Palma classic. Cat People. This is a 4K too, right? Doesn't it? Yeah, I think so. A lot of them, like Carrie, I would get a 4K of if it was, reasonable. Cat People, I think I'm fine. Cat People's decent. It's not amazing. The best thing about it is that David Bowie song at the end that they used in Django, or Inglourious Basterds, wrong Quentin Tarantino movie. I have the Blu-ray of the original Child's Play. I have not gotten all these 4Ks yet. These are 4Ks I would probably get because they only had this one on Blu-ray. I like that they had the sequels as well. I just wanted to wait for them to go down in price for a little bit. Class of 1984, another underrated gem. There's the original poster. I am almost done writing my musical adaptation of this film. I have Cobra, which has no rights being a Scream Factory title I don't think. But it's still cool. I haven't watched it, but I assume it's cool. One of these days I'll get around to that one. The Craft on Blu-ray. I watched this one with the wife. I thought it was fine, I'm not huge into the witch movies, but I got nothing against it. One of my favorite Sam Raimi movies, we got Darkman. It's a classic. I love me some Darkman. Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead remake. Or as I call it, Zack Snyder's Good Movie. So yeah, I am a fan of that one. And after Dawn of the Dead comes the far superior, in my opinion, Day of the Dead. Superior to the Zack Snyder version, not Dawn of the Dead, the original. That one I prefer. But yeah, Day of the Dead, I love this one. Some of the best zombie gore effects you'll ever see in that one. David Cronenberg's Dead Ringers. This one I did not like that much, to be honest. But it was interesting. Glad I have it. Cronenberg is very hit and miss. Like, I love all his, body horror stuff, but that movie is just kind of boring, to be honest. Deadly Blessing by Wes Craven. This one also not the most exciting thing you'll ever see. Has some great moments, though. Like that moment. That's the coolest part of the movie, right there on the cover. Outside of that, good horror comedy here. Death Becomes Her from Robert Zemeckis. Dog Soldiers. This Blu-ray looks like shit. Don't buy it. I'm just going to tell you right there. The movie's great. This Blu-ray looks like hell. That I do have a better version of it, but not from Scream Factory. I have Drag Me to Hell, another very good Sam Raimi movie. I need to give a rewatch to. I haven't watched it since I grabbed it, but I remember enjoying it quite a bit, and it's a PG-13 horror movie. It's a very good PG-13 horror movie. Okay, next we have Dreamscape. This is a very weird movie. I need to watch it again because I kind of half paid attention to it. I know when my wife and I watched it a couple years back, you got Dennis Quaid in it, and what's her name? Mrs. Steven Spielberg. Yeah, Kate Capshaw. And you got Max von Sydow and Christopher Plummer, who I always get confused. So when they're in the same movie together, it's just extra confusing. We have The Entity, which I have not seen, but I've heard very good things about after having bought it. I hadn't heard of it even when I bought this. But I've heard good things since, so it makes me more eager to put it in, when I have time. I have the Escape from New York Blu-ray. I have the Escape from LA, I almost said 4K, but it's the Blu-ray. I have not opened this one yet, but I do enjoy the film because it has Bruce Campbell in it. There he is right there. I got the Event Horizon Blu-ray. I've not had a chance to open it. I got it from... I did not pay that much because I never would for a Scream Factory Blu-ray, but I think I had a $20 gift card, so I paid $10 for this. Then, of course, I got a 4K, a year later. I got The Exorcist II, The Heretic. Far and away the best Exorcist film there ever has been and ever will be. if you have not seen it, do that. I was kidding. It's terrible. But you need to watch it. It's so bad. On the other hand, Exorcist 3 is fantastic. You should watch Exorcist 3. I don't know. It's not even comparable to the first one because they're not the same kind of movie at all. But it's a damn good movie, just like the original. If you're not huge into like actual Exorcist possession movies, which I'm usually not, like The Exorcist is pretty much the only one I actually like. This movie is not that. It is like a murder mystery. It's more like a David Fincher movie than an Exorcist movie. So if you're more into that kind of movie, you'll probably really like Exorcist 3. Firestarter, the real one, with Drew Barrymore. There she is. Not a bad movie, not great. Would have been better if John Carpenter did it. Probably. I got the Fog Blu-ray here. The original poster art on there. I wasn't the biggest fan of the Fog. And then I rewatched it recently. And I really liked it this time. So I'm glad I gave it another chance. My only Hammer movie I think I have, sadly, in my entire Scream Factory collection. Frankenstein Created Woman. This was entertaining. I actually really like the style of these movies. I want to get more of them. I have the poster for this one too. That's one of the reasons I got this one. I love that old poster art. But yeah, it's an interesting watch. I like those Hammers, the Hammer style, so I need to watch more of it. I got From Beyond. Did not get the Vinegar Syndrome 4K because I already had this. I couldn't really justify the price of it. Maybe eventually I'll get it, but Funhouse on Blu-ray. I like Funhouse. A lot of people, kind of meh on it. I enjoy it. I like a good, creepy Funhouse carnival movie. I love this one's good. I love Haunt. If you haven't seen Haunt, give Haunt a shot. Still need to watch this. Never seen it. But I got it with the slipcover. Garbage Pail Kids. Almost never want to open it now. Just because I'm pretty sure this one's out of print. My wife actually mentioned this the other day. Ghost Ship. I haven't opened this one, but she's like, oh, Ghost Ship and 13 Ghosts are going to be off of HBO Max or whatever the hell it's called in a couple of weeks. I don't know why she even looked it up, but I was like, well, it's a good thing I have Ghost Ship then, isn't it? I don't have 13 Ghosts, though. I need to get that one still. But at this point, it's been a couple of years since the Blu-ray came out, so it's probably going to get 4K. Ginger Snaps. I really like Ginger Snaps. This is getting that Blu-ray set from Second Sight, right? Am I crazy? Is that what it is? If that was a 4K, I might grab it. But since I already have the Blu-ray of the original, and I haven't heard great things about the sequels, I'm probably good with this for now. Here's one I still have to muster up and watch. The Green Inferno. Heavily inspired by Cannibal Holocaust, which I actually really like. So after seeing Cannibal Holocaust for the first time like a year or two ago, I did really want to watch it, so I just haven't gotten around to it. I have that poster as well. Hell Night. This one is not bad. It's kind of slow, but I like the moodiness of it. If this was a little better paced, I think it would be really good. But as is, it's just fine, and it has Linda Blair. Okay, I may not have 13 Ghosts, but I do have the House on Haunted Hill remake. This one I like. I remember enjoying it a lot when it came out. Renting it on DirecTV at my buddy's house. We got a kick out of it. I do have The Howling on 4K, though. I used to have the Blu-ray. I did sell it after I got this. This was like $12.95 at Best Buy on Amazon like 1 week. So I was like, okay, there we go. That's the price to buy it at. So I haven't had a chance to rewatch it, but The Howling's pretty good. It's no American Werewolf in London, but it does have an amazing transformation scene, and the werewolves kick ass, and it's a pretty good movie, and it's a little bit meta and funny, so I like that about it. In the Mouth of Madness is the next one. This was disappointing to me. It's not bad, but I've heard so much good things about it that by the time I finally got around to it, I think it was just a little overhyped, so I do need to watch it again, but it's a John Carpenter classic nonetheless. The classic Invasion of the Body Snatchers. A lot of people hate this slipcover. I love this artwork. I don't know. I'm weird, I guess. And then there's the old poster. Classic movie there. We got the original Jeepers Creepers. There we go. I can read and remember names of things. I really like Jeepers Creepers. I remember this came out in theaters. This was a nice surprise. Jeepers Creepers 2. I enjoyed more rewatching it when I got this Blu-ray. It sucks that I don't have the slip for this. Like, it doesn't bother me until I have like 2 movies in the same franchise and one's missing it, just like The Exorcist 3. You know, what are you gonna do? I got them cheap enough. I don't care. There we go. Jeepers Creepers 2. Some people like this more than the first one. I do not, but it is better than I remembered it being. And I still haven't watched the third one or the fourth one or however many the hell they have now, because I know the guy who made those movies is, a piece of shit, to put bluntly. But, I mean, they're still cool movies, so I'll watch them. I do have the 4K of Krampus. See, when they release something that hasn't been on Blu-ray, I'll consider buying it, like Krampus. And I was able to watch this one with my kids, so that was fun, because he likes scary things and Christmas things, and it's a good mix. Lake Placid, this is a fun one. Not scary, necessarily, but I do remember seeing this in theaters, I think, twice, and I really enjoyed Lake Placid. I have The Land of the Dead, the fourth Dead film. This is essentially what George Romero wanted Day of the Dead to be originally, before he had to slash the budget and cut out most of it. I prefer Day of the Dead, ironically enough, but this is a good movie too. It's the last great Dead film. This one's weird. The Lawnmower Man. I need to watch the director's cut of this still, because it's about a half an hour longer or more than the original cut. Let me see here. Yeah, the original cut is 108, then the director's cut is 141 minutes. So there's a lot more to it, I believe. So that'd be interesting to watch. It's not the best movie, and it has some interesting, very, very old school CGI in it that's fun to watch. But give it a shot if you haven't seen it. I think the second one is, I've heard nothing but terrible things about. Probably skip that one. But the first one, give it a chance. Lord of Illusions. This just got a new Blu-ray announcement from somebody. It's somebody overseas, whatever it is. This movie's not bad. Clive Barker film. I enjoyed it enough. I know this slip was hard to come across, so I'm glad I have that one. Mad Max. This is one I had, not realizing it had reversible cover art. And when I discovered that was a thing, I ran downstairs and checked this one. I was like, oh my god. And then I was hooked. That's why I like collecting these over the steelbooks, because I love the reversible artwork. I have Manhunter. This one is out of print. I haven't had a chance to watch it. I bought it when they announced it going out of print. Jumped on it. Paid full price for it, which I usually don't do for Scream Factory Blu-rays, especially when they don't come with everything. But I figured if it was going out of print, might as well grab it. Memoirs of an Invisible Man. This is a John Carpenter movie nobody remembers, with amazing visual effects for the time. Like, look at that. Come on. It's got Chevy Chase and Daryl Hannah. It's a fun one. This was given to me by Mr. Tony, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. So thanks, Tony. I have the Blu-ray of Misery. Everyone loves Misery. I don't need to talk about it. But yeah, classic. One of the best, if not the best, Stephen King film. A fun one, Motel Hell. I remember seeing this on like Amazon Prime or something like that, and I was like, this movie's dumb. And then I bought it, because I was collecting all these movies. Rewatched it, and I actually liked it quite a bit. So Motel Hell is a good one. This one I really need to watch still. My Bloody Valentine. I've seen the remake, and I don't remember anything about it, other than not caring enough about it to remember anything about it. But this one I'm sure I'll like a lot more, because the old ones are just better, right? Aren't they? 99% of the time. Night of the Comet. This just got a 4K, if I'm not mistaken. I liked it enough. I do need to rewatch it. It's a fun, goofy 80s movie. Very 80s. One of my all-time favorites. Night of the Creeps. I love the artwork on this one. Night of the Creeps. And this isn't original artwork. That's like a weird thing about this one. Like, this is like the VHS cover that I remember renting, and like this was the old poster. So I do love it though. Night of the Creeps is one of my all-time favorites. Speaking of movies that are getting 4Ks, Night of the Demons. I like it, not enough to get a 4K of it. But maybe one of these days, you know, when they come out, I'll get the second and third one just to have it match this one. I have not seen those, but that one's pretty fun. One of the all-time best bad movies from Golan and Globus that I did. I've done 2 videos about this movie. That's how awesomely bad it is. Ninja 3, The Domination. So yeah, go watch my bad movie Bible video about this one. It's a fun one. Another Brian De Palma movie I've never seen, need to watch. Obsession. This one sounds very interesting. Not so much a horror movie, but like a psychological thriller. There's the word, I can think of it. It's got Uncle Ben in it. From the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans. But yeah, this is a good one. People Under the Stairs, Wes Craven. This is another one I didn't really care for the first time I watched it years ago. Then I liked it more rewatching it. It's not nowhere near my favorite Wes Craven movie. A lot of people just love this one. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. But but you know, it's gone from okay to pretty good. That's where it sits now. Phantasm 2. I remember I bought this. I was checking Scream Factory's website, and I was looking at it like one day, and it was on there. And then I went the next day, and it was out of print. So I immediately went on eBay and bought a brand new copy of it for like $20 right before they jacked up the price. I have that Phantasm collection too, so I figured I'd keep my Scream Factory version because it's got better special features than that collection does. And I have Phantom of the Paradise. We will be hearing more about this movie soon. Yes, we will. But I enjoy this one. Another Brian De Palma movie. I like really old school Brian De Palma style. So like his 70s and 80s stuff that I've seen so far is like more up my alley than his later films by far. So if you have not seen Phantom of the Paradise, give that a shot. It is very weird and very good. And it's got the girl from Suspiria in it. She's pretty, and it has really cool music. Let's keep this train a-rolling. I have the 4K of Piranha, because like I said, if they release a movie I don't have on Blu-ray, I'd consider getting it. I haven't had a chance to watch it, sadly. Who made this one? Yeah, Joe Dante. Joe Dante's Piranha. I have Poltergeist 2. Still haven't seen it. There's the back of it. Poltergeist 3. Still need to watch it. Haven't seen it. One of these days, I'm just going to do a Poltergeist marathon. I have the 4K of the first one. Watch that, and it'll inspire me to watch those two. Here's one of my favorite Carpenter films that less people seem to like than me. Prince of Darkness. This one is awesome. If you have not seen Prince of Darkness, go out immediately and watch it, because it is fantastic. I have Prison. This one's a cool cover, too. With a very young Viggo Mortensen in it. Prison. And Kane Hodder's in this, too, I believe. Rennie Harlan did this one. Very good 80s, 90s action-y director guy. We have Psycho 2 Collector's Edition. Very good sequel. It's definitely atop the sequels that shouldn't be as good as it is list. Psycho 3. I have the slipcover on this one. This one does not have reversible artwork. It's one of those dumb ones. Like this, Psycho 2 and Body Bags are like the only ones that don't have reversible cover art. They just have like scenes from the movie. I actually like Psycho 3. Not as much as Psycho 2 or 1. But it's good. And Anthony Perkins directed it. And it has some very cool scene transitions. Like, just watch it and pay attention to all the scene transitions. Spoiler alert, I don't have Psycho 4, oddly enough. I didn't get it because these are collector's editions and Psycho 4 was not. And at the time, I was only collecting the collector's editions specifically. So that's why I don't have Psycho 4. Pumpkinhead on Blu-ray. This is a very lazy poster. Creepy Fingers, lazy poster. But it is a pretty good movie. It is, what's his name? Stan Winston's only directorial effort, if I'm not mistaken. The suit in that thing is ridiculous, though. Even I don't love the movie, but that suit, creature, holy shit, that thing is great. David Cronenberg's Rabid. I like Rabid. I like old David Cronenberg movies. They're just weird and gross and very cheap looking. It's fun. It's essentially a zombie movie, if you can't tell by this. Just look at the cover. It's a zombie movie to an extent. And it has, what's her name in it? Marilyn Chambers, who was a adult film star. So that's fun. Another Brian De Palma movie. I don't love this one, despite it having the amazing John Lithgow. Raising Cain. I remember I bought this, and it didn't have the slipcover. And I lent it to my mother-in-law. And then it vanished mysteriously, so she bought me another copy, and it came with a slipcover, so that was nice. It's beat to shit, but I mean, I'd rather have a slipcover that looks like ass than not have one, I guess. Return of the Living Dead. This one, I was late to this one. I only watched it like one time. I had like a really shitty Blu-ray of this that cost like $5, and then I grabbed this for the collection here. Watched it the second time, and then I really liked it. I'm like, okay, I get it. It's hilarious. That's my problem. I was expecting like Day of the Dead or something. Came out the same year as Day of the Dead, actually. Very good zombie horror comedy. I have not had a chance to watch the sequel. Return of the Living Dead Part 2. It's a hoot, apparently, so I should like it. If it was a hoot and a half, I would have watched it by now for sure, but one hoot, who knows. Road Games. This one I did actually watch with the wife last year or earlier this year. Finally. This is a pretty damn good movie. If you have not seen Road Games, it is a good thriller. With very young Jamie Lee Curtis and Stacy Keach. Stacy Keach is cool. He's also in Body Bags. Lots of things go back to Body Bags. RoboCop 2. RoboCop Harder. It is no RoboCop 1 by any means. This movie is a stinky, dirty movie. You want to take a shower after you watch it because it's just icky. Something about it. Nowhere near as good as the original, but not bad. RoboCop 2 is fine. RoboCop 3, on the other hand, See, here's another case of me having the slipcover for one and not the other. This movie's so fucking bad. It's awesomely bad. But good lord, is it bad. This is a PG-13 RoboCop movie, so you know it sucks. This is when they were like, hey, kids like RoboCop. Let's just make it a kids movie. And that's what they did. I mean, I had the toys from this movie because I loved the original RoboCop as a kid. And they made toys for kids from this movie. So I guess, it worked out that way. But yeah, if you want, seriously, watch them in a row. And it's amazing, the decline in quality. It's like masterpiece that holds up today. Halfway decent action movie because it's RoboCop. And at least it still has Peter Weller. Third one's not even Peter Weller. It's the guy who's in Thinner. I can't think of his name. I suppose I could read the thing, right? Robert John Burke. There we go. At least Rip Torn's in it. Rip Torn. But yeah, RoboCop 3 is like a joke. And it sucks because Fred Dekker directed it. And I like Fred Dekker. He's one who... he did a lot of other good movies. All right. I haven't watched it yet. I mean, I've seen it, but I haven't opened it, surprisingly. Serial Mom. This is a really funny movie. I like Serial Mom quite a bit. I think it's the only John Waters movie I own, oddly. I don't have, like, Pink Flamingos or... I can't talk. Pink Flamingos. There we go. Or any of his other Criterion fare. But this is about as normal as a John Waters movie gets. A Wes Craven one I still haven't watched, sadly. The Serpent and the Rainbow. Weird voodoo horror movie with Bill Pullman. I need to watch this one. One of these days we'll do a Wes Craven ranking or something like that, and I'll finally get around to watching this. Speaking of Wes Craven, shocker. Badass soundtrack, that's for sure. This one's fine. It's basically Wes Craven ripping himself off, trying to create his next Freddy Krueger. So instead of a guy who kills people in their dreams, it's a guy who kills people through the TV. That's the gist. And it stars Peter Berg, the director of Battleship. I haven't rewatched this since the theater, but Silent Hill. This has some great imagery in it. I don't remember the movie being anything special, to be honest. But visually, very striking. And this cover is very cool. One of the better video game movies. It's a low bar, but, it's there. Finally watched these last Christmas. Silent Night, Deadly Night. Yeah, I mean, it's a cheesy 80s Santa slasher movie. No complaints there. Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, on the other hand. Holy Lord, is this terrible. I love it. We watch these back-to-back nights, my wife and I, and she's like, is this the same goddamn movie? Because it's 70% flashbacks of the first movie from a perspective of this guy who's only a baby in the first movie. It's like, how do you remember this? This shouldn't even be a flashback to you. You're too young to remember what happened. So, essentially, you could just watch this one and then understand the first one. So that's kind of a good thing. It's like a crash course in the franchise. And this is in the Bad Movie Bible, so there may be a Bad Movie Bible video this holiday season about this gem. Next, we have Silver Bullet. Speaking of movies that got a 4K announcement, I haven't had a chance to rewatch this. I've seen bits and pieces of it. It's a decent werewolf movie. It's not a great one, from what I remember. We have Sleepaway Camp. I really like Sleepaway Camp. This was the first time I ever watched this movie, was after having bought this, and I've watched it a few times since. Yet again, another camp slasher that I prefer to the original Friday the 13th by a lot. So I probably like this more than The Burning, too. I don't have Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3, although I wish I did, obviously. They are out of print. They have been forever. It just annoys me because when I first started collecting these, Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 were always $14.99 on Amazon. But I never bought them because they were always $14.99. I could go back and get them later. So I'd always get the ones that were on sale for $14.99 as opposed to the ones that just were $14.99. And then out of nowhere, they're out of print forever, and now they're worth $1 jillion. But that's one that's going to get an inevitable 4K trilogy box or something like that. So I can wait. I don't need to go bankrupt buying Sleepaway Camp sequels. Next, Sleepwalkers, the only movie that ever scared my kid enough to actually not want to watch it. And he loves kitties and scary things, so I just thought it was funny that this movie bothered him so much compared to everything else. If you like movies where people get murdered with corn cobs, this is up your alley. Sleepwalkers by Stephen King. All right, next we have Slither, James Gunn's classic. Slither's very good. It's a fun one. I enjoy Slither quite a bit. Good horror comedy, good practical effects. Species. I still haven't opened this. This is forever. I still haven't opened it. I've heard mediocre things, so that's kind of why I've never gotten around to rewatching it since it came out as a kid. But I'll do it eventually. I have it, right? Squirm. This has my favorite poster art probably out of all of these releases. This right here. That is gorgeous. I love that. The movie is all right. It's about killer worms. What do you expect, right? This movie is featured in an episode of Mystery Science Theater 3000, so I love it just for that. John Carpenter's Starman. I finally watched this last year. I enjoyed it. It's not great. Jeff Bridges is weird in it. And then he was nominated for Best Actor, which I thought was funny. The transformation scene when it turns from like the alien into Jeff Bridges is creepy as all get out. And I actually made a movie with my friends about an alien, and there's like a baby to adult transformation scene in it. Very similar to this. And I mean, it's not as good, obviously, but it's funny how similar it is to this, considering I had never seen Starman yet. I was like, oh, we just ripped off Starman without even trying to. All right, here's another 4K, so I got a chance to watch, of course. Sword and the Sorcerer by the late, great Albert Pyun. So yeah, a little swords and sandals epic. Probably one that doesn't really fit the Scream Factory label as well as other movies, but probably a little bit better than Cobra. Tales from the Crypt, Bordello of Blood. Have not had a chance to rewatch this one yet either. I saw it when it came out. I didn't love it, but you know, like I said, I was trying to get all the collector's editions so I grabbed it when it was on sale. This one, on the other hand, is amazing. Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight. The slipcover is beat to hell, but this movie is fantastic. It is what I refer to as the good Tales from the Crypt movie. It's got a really good cast, too. Billy Zane is kick-ass in this movie, and William Sadler, as always, is great. Another good anthology film, Tales from the Dark Side, the movie. Another one that is getting a 4K pretty soon. If you do not already own this, and the 4K comes out, I do actually recommend this one. It is a lot of fun. It is Creepshow 2 level good. Speaking of Creepshow, Tales from the Hood, another great anthology horror film. I actually did a video about both of these last August when I did my anthology horror August series. So and Body Bags, and that's when I got around to finally watching a handful of these. It's when I did a bunch of those videos. It's almost like I plan videos around me watching movies I want to watch. Yeah? Who doesn't do that, right? Teen Wolf with Michael J. Fox. I like it. It's fine. I don't love it. I didn't, grow up with it or anything. But Michael J. Fox is fun. He's always fun to watch. It's no Teen Wolf 2, that's for sure. With Jason Bateman, Teen Wolf 2 is far superior in every way. Not really. It's just not good. But Jason Bateman's fine, Nothing against him. This one I like. This is another one I grabbed for a surprisingly good price on eBay after it had already gone out of print. Terror Train with Jamie Lee Curtis. This movie's impressive just because the logistics of shooting a film on an actual train are a pain in the ass, and they did it, and it's very well shot. So it's worth watching just for that, to be honest. But it's a pretty good slasher as well. Here's a doozy. I still need to watch this. Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation, starring Academy Award winners Matthew McConaughey and Reese Witherspoon. Not Reese Witherspoon, Renee Zellweger, the other one. I remember when this came out, and I was like, what the hell is this? Before I even had seen any Leatherface movies. I'm sure I'll enjoy it for all its batshit craziness. A couple of John Carpenter classics back to back here. They Live, the most relevant film ever made at all times. It's in my top 5 probably of Carpenter movies, but like barely. That's how much I like his other movies. But They Live, every time I watch it, I think I like it a little bit more. But my favorite John Carpenter movie, like everybody else's for the most part, unless it's Halloween, is The Thing. I love The Thing. I grew up with The Thing. I could watch this 1,000 times and never get sick of it, and I probably have. This is another great anthology movie I did a video about, Trick or Treat. This doesn't have a 4K yet, right? This seems like one that would have gotten one like immediately. This is so popular now with all the Spirit Halloween stuff and everything. But Trick or Treat is a fantastic anthology film. The Scream ripoff, one of the better Scream ripoffs for sure. Urban Legend with Jared Leto, among other people. I like this one. It's fun. It's not great, but like I said, it's one of the better wannabe Screams after Scream came out. It's a lot better than Valentine, for that matter, which I finally watched last year. I think I watched both of those like the same week. Valentine is fine. It's extremely predictable. Like, the ending of this movie going into it. But it's not bad. Another John Carpenter movie, Vampires. This one was pretty fun. I watched this for the first time last year as well. John Carpenter's Vampires. Who'd have thought the best thing about the movie would be Daniel Baldwin. I forget which Baldwin's which. Daniel Baldwin is like surprisingly good in this movie. Would not have bet money on that. Oh, I need to watch this one too. Another thriller, Vice Squad. Don't know much about it other than it has the great, what's his name? Wings Hauser. Yeah, Wings Hauser's they like to make fun of Wings Hauser and Riff Tracks and Mystery Science Theater, so anything with Wings Hauser makes me giggle. And last but not least, this is the last Scream Factory title I have. Carpenter's Village of the Damned remake with the late, great Christopher Reeve and Kirstie Alley. Oh, they both passed away. That's even sadder now. I didn't even think of that when I grabbed it. This one's okay. It's not great. It's one of his lesser films for sure, but I think it's the only Christopher Reeve movie in my collection that isn't Superman, so I like it for that. But it's not bad. And it has Mark Hamill in it too, who is also in Body Bags. Watch Body Bags. That's the moral of this video. Go watch Body Bags. Like I said, that's all my Scream Factory titles. I have quite a few, not everything. But I don't have a lot of Shout Factory titles, so I figured I'd just include those as well on the tail here. Like, I have like this many. Like, that's how many Shout Factory / Shout Select titles combined I have. So let's go through those quick, just because why the hell not? They're not worth making their own video over. The first two are going to be out of order because they are Best Picture winners, and they're in the AFI Top 100, so they are on a different shelf as the rest. I don't know why, but I have the 4K of The Deer Hunter. Still need to rewatch this. I love this movie. Is fantastic, and I'm sure this 4K is amazing. I just haven't had... It's a hard one to watch because it's literally a hard movie to watch. Like, it's just a tough watch, and it's also like 3 hours long or more. 3 hours and 3 minutes. So it's not one you can just pop in and have fun with. But it's a great movie, and if you haven't seen The Deer Hunter, you're missing out. Speaking of Vietnam winners that won Best Picture, Platoon. This one I did have a chance to watch, because it's about an hour shorter than Deer Hunter. I love Platoon. This is one of my favorite Best Picture winners. Is there not reversible cover art in this either? See, that's what sucks about the 4Ks. No, there's not. What are you doing? What are you doing, Shout Factory? Keep it consistent here. And then they released this one with a slip, and some of them don't have slips. It's like, see, that's why I stopped. This is why we stopped carrying Shout Factory. Be consistent. That's all we ask. This 4K is grainy as hell. So if you do not like grainy things, avoid at all costs. But it still has very good colors, like the greens and the reds and everything pop really well, but it's super fucking grainy. So if you can get over that, I don't mind it because it's a gritty movie. I mean, it's a Vietnam War movie. It should be dark and gritty and icky. So it didn't affect the watch too much for me, but it is, in fact, the grainiest 4K I've probably ever seen. Now, onto the not Best Picture winning Shout movies I have. Although this deserved to win Best Picture, and probably, you know, if it would have went to theaters, it would have. Albert Pune's Captain America from 1990. I was never more excited in my life than when I saw this poster at Mr. Movies as a 4-year-old. This movie is so bad. I don't know how this isn't in the Bad Movie Bible, to be honest. Like, this should be, because it deserves it. But I love it. Like, if you haven't watched this Captain America movie, give it a chance. And it's not too expensive either of a Blu-ray. Yeah, it's, wow. That's all I can say about it. All right, here's a much better one. Liar, Liar. This is a good one. Don't have the slip, sadly, but this one does have reversible cover art, unlike Platoon, etc. Like I said, make it make sense. I haven't rewatched this since I bought it, but Mac and Me is amazing. I grew up with Mac and Me. I love it. One of my 3 favorite alien invasion children's movies. Easily. Another Shout Select title, Twins. This one did not hold up nearly as well as when I used to watch it as a kid, but I still like it. I like the dynamic between Schwarzenegger and DeVito. They're hilarious. Does this have reversible cover art? No, but it does at least have, like, artwork of some sort. But if you've never seen Twins, you need to watch Twins. And far and away my favorite out of all of these happens to be the last one. UHF with Weird Al Yankovic. One of my son's favorite movies as well. This one does have reversible cover art. Let me show you. Here is the regular cover. So yeah, UHF is one of my all-time favorite comedies. So it was in my comedy tournament for a reason. And it wasn't even because of me. Someone else wanted it in there. Bin Buster, I believe. Those are my Shout Factory titles, and all of my much, much more and better Scream Factory titles in my collection. Thanks for hanging in there, if all of you have. I'm going to do the rest of these for my not as big collections. I'll do my Arrows. I'll do my Vinegar Syndrome Zizzes. I'll do my Criterion Zizzes. And then I'll probably do all the rest in a video all by itself because I don't have very many other boutique labels that would necessitate an entire video, kind of like how I included the Shout Factories with this. But they're coming. On that note, please check out my Spread Shop and TeePublic stores. Different stuff on each store, so it is worth looking at both, just so you know. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Talk, shop, pop, movies.